Okay guys, today we're going to be working on our learning target about Native Americans. And today we are going to be focusing on Native Americans that lived in the Arctic region. So by the end of this lesson, you will be able to need to describe the climate in the Arctic region, and you'll need to be able to tell me how Native Americans that lived in the Arctic region used their environment and natural resources to survive. You will need to know the name of the shelter that they built and lived in. You will need to be able to talk to me about what food they ate and how they got that food. And you will need to be able to talk to me about the clothes that they wore and how they made those clothes. This map shows us where the Arctic region is located. It is this top red part, which is above the United States of America that you're used to. So, the equator is down here. So this red part up here is an area that was way above the equator. And its climate, which is a word that can be used to describe temperature and weather in a certain place, was very, very cold. Look how far above the equator it is. This area can also sometimes be called the North Pole. So its climate was covered in ice and snow and was freezing all the time. Native Americans in the Arctic region are often called Inuits. Sometimes they're also called Eskimos, but they do not like being called Eskimos because that word actually means flesh eaters in their language, and that's very offensive. Explorers from Europe called them Eskimos when they reached North America on their voyages, and it really hurt their feelings. Arctic Native Americans lived in a cold, frigid means very cold climate with little areas to grow crops. So see, here we have an illustration. They've built a fire. They're trying to warm something up over the fire. We see that they're probably going to eat this animal that they've hunted. We see lots of snow and ice. We see that they're dressed very warmly. It says they have little area to grow crops. Think about it. Even in Georgia in the spring, most plants don't grow. They couldn't grow fruit or vegetables in that snow. It was too cold for things to grow, so they mostly had to hunt to get their food, and that's what we see in this picture. Where did they live? Because of their environment, they had to rely on what they had in their surroundings to live. There was no stores, there was no hardware stores, there was no construction company to build them a home. This is way far in the past. So for shelter, many in this region either built igloos, which are shelters made from ice or snow, or if it was a little bit warmer outside during some of the warmer months in spring and summer, they would make shelters from animal hides. And hide is another word from skin, for skin. What did they eat? Well, like we already talked about, they couldn't really grow crops. They couldn't grow fruit and vegetables. So they really had to hunt. So since they couldn't grow crops in the cold region, most Arctic Native Americans depended on land animals such as polar bears, elk, and sea mammals, such as seals and whales, and for a large part of their diet and clothing. And they would also fish nearby oceans to catch fish. So they didn't waste parts of the animals. They would eat the meat of the animal, but they would use the animal furs to make their clothes. They would use the animal bones to make tools. They tried not to waste any part of an animal after they hunted it. What did they wear? It was very, very cold, so obviously they needed to dress warmly. The Inuit Native Americans in the Arctic used the fur from the land animals, and they would put inside the fur, on the inside of the clothes, layers of whale fat that they got from hunting whales to add an extra layer of insulation there to keep them even warmer. And that whale fat that they would put inside their clothes and shoes is called blubber. And then these types of jackets that they would wear that we see here in this picture is called a parka. We also see that they're wearing snow boots. And this is a cool picture because we can see what it looks like inside of an igloo. How did they travel? They traveled in boats, often called canoes, while they were fishing. And they also traveled in dog sleds. Here's Here's a Native American in a sled, and it's being pulled by all of these dogs. So that was a quick lesson about the Arctic region. On your assignment today, you have one more quick review video to watch about how Arctic Native Americans survived, and then you have an assignment. If your box is grayed out like this, like mine is because it's been up for so long, just refresh and it will open in a new tab. Edit presentation, edit in browser. It's loading. Okay, here it is. I want you to show me that you watched both of the videos and that you paid attention to both of the videos and learned new facts and new vocabulary words about Native Americans in the Arctic region. You can do bullet points or sentences in these boxes. So click into this box and tell me facts about the land in the Arctic. What was the land like and what was the weather like? In this box, you'll teach me about their shelters. Here's a clue right here. How did they build these shelters? What materials were these shelters made out of? Over here, you'll click the box and type information about their food, where they got their food, what their food was. And over here, you will teach me some facts about their clothes to show me what they learned. And when you're done, don't forget to submit the assignment on Canvas.